So this is Kirby's Dream Land for the Nintendo Game Boy. This is the any percent category of this game, where we are going to beat the game as fast as possible, taking advantage of the game's mechanics. It's a speed run. So right off the bat here, we are going to be doing some very tight jumps, like that jump past that mushroom. We are going to do a lot of lag reduction in that we are waiting to use Kirby's sucking ability at the last possible moment so as not to cause any animation to appear on screen. You'll see that a lot throughout this game, and pretty much any Game Boy game, there's a lot of lag reduction. Unfortunately, it doesn't matter here, so we can kind of mess around in between cycles. So there's a lot of enemies here, so we are going to do everything in our power not to cause lag. So what we did there is we essentially body slammed that enemy. If you jump from high enough, you can damage enemies without taking damage yourself, and that'll get used a few times throughout this run. So then this little tree climb here, this is actually pretty tight at a world record level. You want to be moving up as quickly as possible, but you'll notice that Kirby's flight horizontal speed is slower. So you don't just want to fly straight up because you can move across little sections faster with walking. So this is Wispy Woods because this is a Kirby game. Basically, we're just going to take his apples and spit him back at them since we don't have any fire in this game. The only thing to really note here is that when he does the apples, you want to take the third one and hit him with it as soon as possible because that will trigger the next cycle to start as soon as possible. So that is stage 1. Pretty standard Kirby speedrunning fare, but always good because this game is a classic. So now we are into Lololo Castle, or Castle Lololo. Lots of tight enemy movement in here, damage boosts, all of that. This game makes for a great race, always, because of all these little tight tricks, and there's a lot of route variety that you can do in this game. There's a large community. I imagine a few people will be submitting this game in the any percent category, and really any of us together makes for a good race. We do a lot of races together pretty regularly, especially this past summer. We did probably 100 altogether. This game is a lot of fun to watch as a race and as a solo run, really. So right here, we're just going to fly straight up, go right underneath that Gordo. You want to wait a couple frames, honestly. And then here we're going to try and hit this boss 2 times per cycle by taking some damage. So you can actually do that when they are one little section apart. It's just very, very difficult, and you have to be in the right spot beforehand to get it. But that was very good because that was a 4 cycle. A 4 cycle is really, really good. So coming up is Float Islands, which is my favorite stage in the game because it has a lot of really cool movement and no RNG. So lag reduction is going to play a big role in this stage, which is why we take that guy and hit the laser guy with it, because as you can see, the lasers lag the game massively. So we're going to slide right off, hit this platform, body slam this enemy, damage boost off that cannon shot, and get up onto that before our iframes run out so we don't get hit by the next cannon shot. So, as I said, this stage has a lot going on. Unfortunately, you can get stuck there depending on how you jump through the water, but that happens and you have to deal with it. You have to react to that on the fly. There's the troll coconut up here. Interesting to note that in the extra mode category that other people might be submitting, the coconut is on the other side of that column, just to mess with you. You know, it's not necessarily any more difficult, it's just on the other side, so you'll probably get hit by it in your first playthrough. So I am going to skip this curry here. Oh no, I'm not. After getting this PB, I switch to a strat where I don't get this curry because it is actually faster because of all the lag that these curry shots cost. But it's not a massive difference, and you'll notice that other runners will probably still be doing that. It's not a big difference, and it makes for a little bit of race interest, I guess, because you get to see 2 different strats in real-time comparison. So coming up, this boss is Kabula. His shot pattern is random, so you just kind of want to react and dodge. And pretty much, you really just want to hit him more than he hits you. That's... This is a damage war boss. So as you can see, we're staying right in his face and dodging right around the shots to try and kill him as quickly as possible because the rate of fire depends on how far you are away, because only a certain number can be on screen at once. So this is Bubbly Clouds. It is notorious in Kirby's Dream Land speedruns because of its difficult platforming. That jump right there we call the Proto Strats because I seem to be the only one who does it. But it is actually faster, and I think I've seen some other people doing it recently. You can also slide under and then fly up. So that you'll see that a lot in any category of this game where you'll see slightly different strats in different spots. This room, these laser guys can face different ways. It's kind of random, so you have to be prepared to react if they're shooting at you. So unfortunately, I hit that guy. We don't want to do that because we want to suck him up and then kind of carry him with us. But it doesn't really matter all that much. So this room is has a lot of cycle-based enemies in it. So you really want to stay on pace. So you can jump right through the middle there, under this guy, under here, and over there. That's pretty much all cycle-based. And then this is Kracko Jr. He does the same exact thing every single time. Nothing very exciting, unfortunately. Sneak a quick donation in here. But coming up, we're going to do something called the Waterfall Grab, which is a bit of an interesting visual glitch that doesn't actually save any time, but it happens to fall right along the optimal route for maneuvering in the room, so we're going to do it, and it looks pretty cool. So how it works is we are going to grab this curry at the bottom of this waterfall, and because we grab the curry and transform into the curry state at the same time we're entering the water, it kind of gives you the property that Kirby has when he's in water, so he's behind the water background, but it applies that to the regular background. So then here we're going to try and make our way through this as fast as possible. And this is actually a little more difficult than it looks because you want to be at a very specific distance from these blocks. Because if you're too far, you're not firing fast. And if you're too close, you're going to hit them and lose time. You also have to be aware to fly over the little gaps because you have to fly over them. And then we are going to slide right under this guy with the damage boost. You can get under him without the boost. Sometimes he'll boost you right into the side of that wall. It's a little bit unpredictable. And then we are into Kracko. So as you can see, the way I did it, I just started him off with a slow hit. This PB is a little old because this game is pretty difficult to PB in because of all the boss randomness. This was actually from a period of time when we were testing out a Kracko manipulation that unfortunately proved to not actually work, which is why I stood in that specific spot at the beginning. But I did manage to get a good pattern in this run, but unfortunately there's really nothing you can do to manipulate him. His pattern, essentially, he'll do one of his either the lasers or the dive attack, and then have a 50% chance of doing the other attack or spinning Waddle Dee and just wash, rinse, repeat. He does an attack and has a 50% chance of doing either of his other two. He'll never do the same two in a row, but you never know what he's gonna do. So now we are entering the boss refights here, and there is no optimal order. The only real rule is that you should do a door on the left first, because when Kirby slides into the room, he is slightly more to the left, but every player gets to decide for themselves what order to go in. I go in the order I go in so that I'm taking on the bosses that don't have damage boosts, but rather have things that could deal me unintentional damage first, so that I can be confident when I get to the bosses that have damage boosts that I'm not going to run out of health and end up losing a lot more time in the end. So then we were moving into Kapula, and you'll notice also these bosses have these little refight, like one rooms that are kind of the theme of the stage. So this one is actually notoriously difficult to move through quickly. There is a slightly more optimal strat that I've since this PB started doing, but it is very difficult. And it's really, when it's optimized, it's very optimized, but if you make a small mistake, you can lose seconds, unfortunately. You can also, in both of these ones that we've seen so far, take damage right in front of the door, and then get into the door before your iframes run out, and we call that a Gordo skip. You'll see a Gordo skip in the last one. I do the one in the Bubbly Clouds refight, but you can do them in 3 out of the 4 stages. It's just you have to make the choice based on how much health you have and how confident you are that you can take on these bosses at low health. So once again, we are going to try and skip as many cycles as possible here. So I'm going to grab that one and save it because I knew I wouldn't be able to hit whichever one was down there. So we call that a layover skip. And unfortunately, we got a bit of bad luck there in that I hit one of them 3 times because they actually both have their own health meters in the game. So you want to really alternate shots so they're both alive, because while they're both there, you have chances of doing cycle skips. So here we're going to do the Bubbly Clouds Krakow skip, or Gordo skip, excuse me, and we're going to hit the door before our iframes run out to not have to hit the Kirby. So then we're going to take on Krakow again, and unfortunately, once again, there is nothing you can do here. So in this run, I actually got a very good fight, which is why this is a PB, but it's exciting to watch, but unfortunately there is absolutely nothing you can do, and we Kirby's Dreamland runners hate Krakow for that. So now we're going into DDD, and he's kind of the same as Krakow in that his pattern of attacks is random, and you just kind of have to adapt on the fly. But DDD does have a bit of intrigue. You'll notice I have 1 health. So DDD has a constant gamble going, where you want to be as close to him as possible in between attacks, because if he does the hammer, he'll attack with the hammer when he gets close enough to you. So you want to be as close to him as possible to not lose time. And his other attacks, he'll activate them, other than the jump, based on how close he is to you. So you want to be as close as possible without putting yourself at risk to take damage. So you have to have very good reaction time and decide based on the setting. You know, if it's a marathon, you may put yourself a few pixels farther away just to be safe, maybe not. But you want to make it as quick as possible without dying. And there we go. And that is Kirby's Dreamland in 11 minutes and 41 seconds.